guys, welcome back to the channel. Today you find me starting a completely new project, a little bit different from the norm. It involves this creature. Bought it a few years ago now, flew it for about 3 minutes and put it back in a box. So the idea is to strip it out, put all the motors and controller into a 4-engine plane and see if I can get it to fly. Possibly radar control, if not it'll fly around the pole in the garden. I'm just reading through the instructions for flight. I've watched a couple of videos online. It is possible, but there seems to be more failures than successes. So hopefully mine will be more success than failure. One piece of information I've gleaned, which I've written on this piece of paper, is that the front motors of the quad go to the inner and the rear motors on the outer. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a battery in the quad, see if I can get it to hover a bit and do something in here. And try and suss out what I need to do, what does what, before I strip it out. I guess playing around with this sort of thing indoors when I've got an aeroplane hanging above me isn't a very good idea, so what I think I'll do is tie it down. So I'm going to put a bit of string around the body, tie it down to the table, then at the very least it's not going to cause any major damage to anything. Right, so I've secured the drone to the table. It can move about and this can't go into the blade, so I feel confident now that nothing's going to happen untoward. Switch on the drone and place it on the horizontal grounding. Headlights and drone start to flash, then switch on the transmitter. No, they're flashing. Switch on the transmitter by holding that button here. Ooh. Okay, 3-second motor on. Right, when I open that it should take off. Okay, let's go back a page. Mine, that's flashing, that would suggest it's not fair. Oh, you've got to go up and down. Okay. Tell you what, I'm glad it was tied down. That pulls it back. I think the battery might be going. I think I've sussed it out, guys. Certainly worth an experiment. The model itself I'm going to build it into, that seemed to have quite a lot of poke and the props are quite big. So I'm thinking a model maybe, well, the size of a bit of foam board really. And it's got to be 4 engines. I like World War II stuff. Now what could it possibly be? World War II, 4 engine, obviously have to be a bomber. How about a Quadcaster? I think that sounds an idea. I don't know if it's going to work, but it's all good fun. If it doesn't fly radar control, then it's going to go around the pole, and that it will do, and look pretty impressive too, being quite a large round the pole model. So thanks for checking us out. I'm going to get the foam board out. I've got to print out some blueprints for Lancaster and start drawing it up and having fun on this horrible wet windy afternoon. Thanks guys, see you in a minute. Okay, what I've done, I've marked up the motors, front left, rear left, etc. just in case it all falls apart. I think that's quite critical. So I've removed loads of little screws, and I think I'm at a point where, yep, the lid will come off. There's a pair of front LEDs. Not sure what I want LED wise at the moment. I have a printout now of the blueprints of a Lancaster. It actually looks quite small. I was trying to get it out of one sheet of what's it board, but I think I probably could have got it out diagonally a little bit bigger. But it's done now, so I'm going to stick with this. I might cheat the wing area slightly, but overall it's ready to go. So I'm going to transfer these shapes to foam board and see what we get. Okay, see you in a minute. Okay, I made a decision. I wasn't happy with the wing area on that blow up, so I've blown it up again. This time it will fit on diagonally on this board, but as you can see the wing is quite a bit bigger, so is everything else. But I think the motors will take it. They're pretty big, pretty strong, so I'm happy now. Scrap this lot. What I've done is my favourite method of transferring shapes to balsa wood. Pin through the shape, transfer it to the medium. So penciled it out, so I've got to cut that out, and I've probably got room to do a tail plane on this and probably a pair of fins as well, so the fuselage will have to be a separate sheet. Wow, it's coming on. I've gone ahead and pinned out the fuselage, which I just squeezed onto this sheet as well. You can just make that out. So, and one of the rudders, fin stroke rudder, I'll just trace around that one as soon as I've cut it out. So it's all the components marked out on one sheet. So I'll cut that out. I won't be hot gluing it, or I've got to cut the nacelles out. I've got to work out how I'm going to mount the engines. I won't be hot gluing it because my hot glue gun is not too good. The wing area I'm a little bit more pleased with. It's a little bit bigger than the original one that I marked out. So, yep, all set to go. I've got about 2 degrees of positive incidence on the main wing. Oops, don't know if that's going to be enough really, but it's all a bit of an experiment. The thing is about profile fuselage is pretty much you just can't tell its profile when it's in the air. Okay, does that look like a Lancaster to you? It does to me. What about that? We all recognise that shape. By the way, the wingspan is just under the metre, I think. I've got to add dihedral as well on the outer tips. I've just printed out a free front view, and it seems that the dihedral doesn't start after this outer board engine nacelle. It starts just after the inner board engine nacelle. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do, guys. I'm going to make a 1/16 dihedral brace that's going to glue into the wing at this point.
Right, so I've made up a 1/16 dihedral brace. Don't know if it's going to be man enough, to be honest, but it's better than nothing, and nothing is probably man enough. So I've got to cut a slot in here. As you see, the dihedral is a fair amount, so that's good. And from the end of that out to the tip, I shall add some carbon. So I've got to put a crease in it, and I'm going to bend a small aerofoil into it. You can see the dihedral quite a lot. So that's my next thing, modifying this wing. I've just cut a slot down this piece of scrap foam and put this piece of 1mm carbon into it, opened it up and pushed it in, and it forms a sort of an aerofoil shape. Worked out what I'm going to do. I'm going to put on a, this is the dihedral brake, and I'll cut the groove in a moment through the paper. And then using the rule, force it in through the foam like that. And that should just close up like that and be pretty much where I want to be. Once the plane starts to take shape, isn't this great? Hey, this is great. Anyway, let's get on with it. Oh, that's good. That's got it. So it's going to go in there. Like that, and the dihedral brace goes like that. That's what I'm thinking, guys. So that's going to be in there. It'll overlap there. I've got a camber in the wing tip. Give me a little bit of extra sort of lift, and then when it's all painted in, you won't see that at all. I think what I'll do, I'll squeeze glue into this, but I'll also squeeze glue, put a small wipe on the dihedral brace just to make sure it is covered, just to make sure. In this port side, that squeezes in there, picking up the centre line there. We then lift that up, push it into there. I feel the glue squeezing out the bottom, which is good. This is adding quite a bit of weight, I would guess, but the wing is an integral part of the design, so let's not skimp. There it is, drying. The applied dihedral braces in, the carbon dihedral braces are in, giving me that nice airfoil section. Show you on the inlet. This is a little video on how what I've decided I'm going to do, guys, is to put elevators on the back which are movable just for trimming purposes, and I've got some little hinges here, but what they are, they're little bits of plastic, little bits of metal, will eventually break because this is just for trimming, encased in ridged plastic, and that was out of a face mask. There we go, look. That's a slightly different design, but you get a nice long piece of flexible, very flexible wire. I haven't tried to break it, but this is just for trimming purposes, don't forget. Okie dokie, we'll let those dry, then I'll push them into the other side. That's how you make easy hinges, utilising old face masks.
Okay, I'm working on the put that down there, engine nacelles. So just wanted to have a quick peep at the wing, see how things were looking, but primarily off up first rough cut engine nacelle. Got to make 2 of those. Where's my spare motor? There it is. Make 2 of those, and they're basically square hanging down and curved on the top. So it's going to be like that. This is a little jig I've made up to get the nacelles correctly lined up. I've just glued up all 4 nacelles, so they're drying. So while they're drying, just thought I'd have a look at the tail. It's looking more like something we recognise, isn't it? But it needs to be glued in. So what I have found, actually, this aliphatic resin is really very good with the foam. Anyhow, what I've done here, I've roughed up the join here because it's quite strong, needs to be quite strong. I removed bits of paper here and there, and hopefully that will be strong enough to do the job. It's the tail glued in with the temporary jigs in place. It's getting heavy, guys. It's getting heavy. I'll chuck it and be woefully underpowered. Chuck it. So what I've done, how I'm going to mount the motor is I'll put a little bit of hardwood in there with a bit of packing in behind, and I put some hardwood in the end of the you see that? Put some hardwood in the end of the mounting, so now I can just drill a hole. I'm just going to put 1 screw through, and it's just going to hold it like that. And I'm going to put a piece of rounded paper on the top to give the nacelle a bit of shape. That's nice. How does it look sideways on? Spot on. Spot on. Square. Okay, just putting on the 4th nacelle. I had to add a little bit to the back of these because the wing washout meant that the thrust line was out, but it's all okay now. If this doesn't fly, guys, I'm going to have to convert it to 2-channel, cut some ailerons in, and it would be nice to see it in the air. Getting heavy, very heavy. Okay, we'll let that dry, and I think the only thing I can do now actually is to work on the motors. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you soon. Nothing's funny's happened on this one, is it? Nothing's fallen over, no disasters or catastrophes. So that's not fate, eh?